What's going on, everybody? Cigar Titan here once again with another episode of Smoke Signals and Side Quests. I am one of your hosts, Cigar Titan, and this is officially episode 1 on our new YouTube channel, Smoke Signals and Side Quests. As we said last week, we will no longer be posting further episodes of this podcast on the Cigar Titans YouTube channel. If you want more Smoke Signals and Side Quests, you will have to tune in directly here to this YouTube channel, Smoke Signals and Side Quests. But before we go on any further, I want to bring in my co-host for today, Mr. Redbeard Riot. How are you, sir?
Oh my. So good.
A little bit of technical difficulties right before we got started here.
Of course, because that's when it happens.
It's always when it happens, literally right before a show starts or anything. When you need technology to work, that's when it stops working.
That's when it breaks.
Yep. So, hey, look, to get us kicked off here, just wanted to let everybody know that it's just going to be the two of us this week. And Sergeant Grumpy Pants is actually out of town on vacation for this holiday weekend. He is out with his daughters and his fiance visiting his father out in California. So we just want to give a quick shout out to Sergeant Grumpy Pants. We wish you were here, but we understand why you're not. And say hello to the whole family. But it's just going to be Red Bear Riot and Cigar Titan holding down the fort today. How do you feel about that?
Man down. I tell you what, without my Sergeant Grumpy Pants, I feel naked.
That's right. You need to have your pants.
That's
or you feel naked. How was your week?
Oh boy, we've been busy around here. When it rains, it pours. I spent a couple of good hours last night with my head jammed inside a broken dishwasher. That was fun.
Oh.
The AC's been acting up, so we've been messing around with that. On top of just regular old everyday stuff, we sent out another rental. We had our trailer gone out to a new campsite, which I have actually never been to before. Decent little spot. I didn't know it was there. And it's just this little reservoir that's kind of tucked back up into the hills. It's got it's all forested around there. You can take your boats down there. You can take your camper out there. Quite nice. I'm going to have to actually go and check that out for myself one of these times when things are maybe just a little bit less busy. So that was awesome. We've been running around like crazy people. We got a look when you're busy, you're busy. We got a new dog has joined us at our home. We've been. Oh, you disappeared. Where'd you go?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
You have disappeared. Well, we've got a new dog. Yeah, I can hear you. We've got a new dog.
Lost connectivity. All right, go ahead and go through it. I'm gonna try to get the camera fixed. We just talked about this technology thing.
We love it. We've got a new puppy here at the house, which is always fun. Puppy energy can drive you insane, but we've got our 9-year-old German Shepherd who's getting used to the new addition, and she's coming along. That's Pickle and Mr. Bean hanging out, still trying to feel each other out a little bit, and figure out who's boss. The funny part is, Mr. Bean he's only about a year old, but he's already bigger than she is. She's a little bit of a midget anyway, but she's a good dog, and she's been putting up with the puppy.
Energy.
Oh yeah.
So, a lot of energy.
That's been fun going on around here. All the regular good old life stuff. I think trying to modify a few things around the house. We're changing up some dietary habits.
Okay.
Getting older,
You got
and
to do it.
all of a sudden your doctor comes at you talking about cholesterol, and you're just like, I don't want to hear that. I need a cheeseburger.
Cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of the things that
Yep.
have a tendency to become more common as we get older.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's going on at the Titan household?
Oh, not much this week. So I spent some time this last week. Actually, it was last weekend. We did a little overnight trip. I don't remember if I said this on the last episode. I don't think I did because we hadn't left yet. So me and the family took a quick trip down to San Diego and got a hotel down there. It was a nice hotel, actually, right there on the water. I think it was the Hyatt Regency, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a nice little resort. They've got some water slides and everything there for the kids. And so took the two kids down there and had a ton of fun in the pool. And they were swimming and going down the water slide and everything. And the nice thing is the pool was warm. So it wasn't like ice cold because of the weather down in San Diego was, for whatever reason, a little bit overcast. It's just the way it is when you get a little closer to the coast. Whereas up here, where I live, it's low 90s to mid 90s,
Sure.
and down there it was about, I think the high reached about 78 with clouds and everything in the sky. So it was a fun little trip. And then after that, we took the kids over to the aquarium out in La Jolla, or as Brother Stogie would say, La Hala.
Hey, holla.
La Hala, and that was cool. You know, surprisingly, the 10-month-old did very well when we were walking around the aquarium and taking a look at all the different fish and creatures and everything. She didn't freak out. She was very much in awe and was kind of soaking it in. You could just see her kind of like looking at everything in amazement. But yeah, she didn't get all crazy and wasn't crying or causing a disturbance or anything. It was good. And the rest of the week was just coming back to work and getting caught up. Little update, still don't have my work phone. It's been going on 2 weeks now, and I have not had a properly functioning work phone since my daughter got a hold of it and managed to factory reset it and lock me out of it.
I hear there's a little bit of a kerfuffle with with a certain technology company.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say who, Apple, but they decide when they want to allow you to get back in and get your password and everything else. And there's literally nothing anybody outside of that company can do to get it. And so the unfortunate part of it was I got to the last step to recover all of my information, and then it asks for your credit card that's on file to verify that final step for your identity. And wouldn't you know it, over the last weekend, I had some fraudulent activity on my bank card and had to cancel out that bank card to have them issue me a new debit card. And wouldn't you know it, that was the bank card that was attached to that account. So that made that whole situation even worse.
I'm telling you, buddy, that that child of yours has criminal mastermind tendencies. There may be a connection between the two things, and boy, watch out. You know, you mentioned the weather out in San Diego, and that got me thinking a little bit about it's definitely been warm here, but not not crazy humid.
Right.
Being from Southern California, 80s, 90s, this is actually quite nice weather, unless you get just socked in with humidity coming in off the ocean or whatever. But I was kind of laughing a little bit because I'm seeing all these videos going around about the World Cup, right? World Cup has come to America, and people online talking about, oh, the Europeans, they're not going to be able to deal with the North American heat. Watching some of those, and so people arguing back and forth online about that. But as well, I'm sure my feed is all loaded up with Europeans or people from other places trying this, American restaurant. It's Waffle House, it's IHOP, it's, all this kind of stuff. And they're, half of you wonders, okay, are they hamming it up for like clicks and views? Takes a bite of the Chick-fil-A and goes,
Right.
And I'm like, it's just Chick-fil-A. I mean, the food is the food that bad in your country? I don't know. But and Europeans have discovered ranch dipping
yes,
sauce.
I've seen a
right?
couple
The
of those
Europeans
videos.
have discovered the ranch dipping sauce. I saw that there was a like like a TSA public service announcement specifically to Europeans who may have discovered ranch dipping sauce, that they should not be putting this in their carry-on luggage. They need to put it in their check. And I'm like, no. The public service announcement needs to be no, that was a good pause. The public service announcement needs to be, don't put ranch in your luggage. Take it home on your 17.5-hour flight and then try to eat that ranch when you get back home. Don't do that.
Yeah, as long as you buy it after you've gone through TSA, it's fair game. You can bring it on the flight. So you're good. I think with the exception of alcohol. But going back to the World Cup, I saw a lot of funny videos this week. This was one that I think went viral.
That's not the kiss cam?
That is not the kiss cam, no. And I don't know if this guy could be any more obvious. And I don't know how she could not feel his eyes literally piercing her chest.
Burning a hole just right through.
Yeah, some people may say this is toxic masculinity. I don't know. I beg to differ. My fiance is constantly encouraging me to check her out. So,
well, listen, I don't know what the relationship is between these two people. They are sitting next to each other. Their arms are touching. I'm assuming there's at a minimum some type of familial bond.
I actually, the first time I saw this at a glance, when the guy has his head turned down, I actually thought that was Adam Sandler just by looking at the top of his head there. I was like, oh, Adam Sandler. And then he looked up. I was like, no,
we're filming a new comedy here, right?
That's not Adam Sandler. So
nope. That's a number one. You got caught this week, pal.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, that was my week, good times, a lot of just catching up after that and getting myself reorganized with work. But that's always the case when you take off a little bit of time and you come back. Right. There's always a million emails to catch up on and everything else. But before we get any further here, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are new here to Smoke Signals and Side Quests. We are going to be posting podcast episodes every single week on Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So don't forget to tune in. Check us out at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you want to catch the live. If you don't want to catch the live, we are going to keep this posted later so you can catch the rerun at a later time if you so choose. But with all that said, Redbeard, I heard we upset some people last week again. Yeah. And if there was ever an episode where I think we would have upset people, I think it was probably last week's episode. And I think you have something that you wanted to go over.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we are here to have fun and we are not here to offend anybody. So we got to make sure that, we keep the people happy. And so what we're going to do right quick is make sure that we acknowledge our shortcomings, our foibles, and we are going to say sorry. We need some background music over this, like the violin meme song or something, right?
Yeah.
In any case, here we go. Last week we may have offended you if you are Baby for Skynet, the Great Cornholio, public pool user. If you are MIT, if you're He-Man, if you're a He-Man hater, movie critics in general, Big Daddy, Lady Spies, Han Solo, George Clooney's bat nipples, Sony, Emo Batman, the Shatner, the Shat, yeah, David Hasselhoff, Inverted Access Retards. We all know about those guys. Top Gun Maverick, Jennifer Corbett. Oh, she was the lady who did the study. Yeah, Ohio State University. J.R. Simon, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, 7-Eleven, Mongo Foot Skateboarders, News Networks, Ghetto People Doing Ghetto Things, White Trash People Doing White Trash Things. People have to take the bar exam 20 times to pass. The algorithm we're apologizing to, that just makes good sense. The Greeks, fentanyl addicts, James Games, Street Fighter addicts, and Asians.
And Asians.
Yeah. And Asians. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That concludes our list of apologies. Let's get on with the show.
Yes. This episode, or rather this segment, we like to call the Burn Line.
So every time, man, that thing just you're getting me.
So we wanted to this week keep
did I mess you up?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I got it. We wanted to keep with the theme of Father's Day.
Put my name on the chalkboard back here. Some demerits.
Yeah. You're good. And keep everything in line with Father's Day, and do something that is that talks a little bit about men, fathers, masculinity, what it means to be a man. And earlier this week, there was a video that was going viral about Elliot Page. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this individual, Elliot Page used to be Ellen Page and is a transgender man. I think I got that right.
Is that the right terminology?
I think so. Woman to man is transgender man. Man to woman is transgender woman. I think.
It will change tomorrow.
It will change tomorrow. It'll be something else.
And you'll be expected to know and use it properly.
That's right. But there was a video that was going somewhat viral last week, and this had to do with Elliot Page talking about what it
looks
means.
Like a man.
Yeah, right. What it means to be a man. And actually, you know what? That's a great call. For context here, we're talking about, who is this? I'm not familiar with this person. This is a before and after of said person. So when they were Ellen Page, so you see that image of that individual there on the left, a relatively attractive woman. She was in several movies, and then at
Juno,
some point,
a couple of other ones. Yeah,
I think she was in some of the X-Men movies, if I'm not mistaken. At least one of them.
The third one, it was X-Men. It was, oh my gosh, Jean Grey went crazy. Wolverine had to stab her. It was from the original set with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen playing Professor X and Magneto. Yes,
and she had a pretty good, successful acting career. And then at some point, she decided that she was going to transition, and she wanted to become a man. So,
I mean, I don't blame her. Being a man kind of rocks.
It does rock. But there was a video that was going viral earlier this week about Elliot Page talking about what it means to be a man. And I have some thoughts on this, but I'm going to save my commentary for after the video. But I'm going to go ahead and play that now. And Red, I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Yep, let's go.
Healthy masculinity to me is, or even just something I've felt as transitioning, is like leaning away from whenever there is some sort of impulse or expectation you've put on yourself to like shut down or conform in a way that usually feels like this, like I am closing off. I remember kind of being like, oh, Elliot, maybe you should, talk with your hands a little less, or maybe in pictures because ever since transitioning, now I'm like, Johnny, I am smiling in those photos. Whereas I used to be I could barely look at a photo of myself. I was always like, you know, and now, and I'll be say a dude's like, hey, are you Victor from Umbrella Academy? You know, and we're doing a photo together. He's very, I'm very, and like having that moment where I'm like, oh, should I also not? Like, should I also be
close
off?
It's
just like, what the fuck, Elliot? What are you talking about? Like, oh, honey, you're the part of the problem.
What are your initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thought was, what?
Man.
Listen, we can't talk about this without talking about stereotypes, right? Oh, men are emotionless. This is the stereotype. Men are this thing or that thing. And it's just a very surface level, you know. You can it's interesting to me that she really apparently wants to also act like a man, or, you know, whatever the case is like, listen, you want to look like a man, that's fine. I guess you can kind of try and act like a man, but here's the thing is, just be you. Okay. Like, I would tell any, you know, guy, any person that I met, you know, if I'm talking to a man, you know, don't try and pretend something, or don't try and pretend to be something that that you don't feel, right? So like a lot of times you'll see guys who, you know, and this is maybe a little bit of the trope, you know, the cocky guy, right? The guys who do the peacocking and, you know, really, you know, the confidence level 9,000, you know, I'm going to be sort of an overly asshole because I'm trying to conform to this like cocky stereotype. Oh, I'm going to pick up chicks or whatever the case may be. And, you know, that may be all well and good. Maybe you'll find a nice young lady who likes that type of an attitude. But if you're putting on a facade, if you're slapping on the makeup, eventually the whole entire real you will come out, right? I mean, oftentimes it seems to me like this big cocky facade gets put on largely because of you know, a lack of confidence, right? People just they don't understand is, you know, build yourself, build your confidence. You don't have to put on this big show. You don't have to do all this big thing. Be you, and then find the people who appreciate you for you. I mean, am I talking crazy? Am I going around in circles?
No, I you know, I think with Elliot Page, like it very much feels like, and in most cases, it very much feels like you're cosplaying the thing that you ultimately wish you were. At the end of the day, Elliot Page is always going to be a woman. She's never going to be a physical man. Now we can sit here and have the argument that, you know, there are some women out there that generally speaking tend to act, you know, more masculine.
Sure.
I agree with that. And then you can, on the opposite end of the aisle, make the argument that there are men that present themselves in a very feminine way. And I would agree with that as well. But when, you know, for me, I honestly, a lot of this harkens back to what I see as personally, like this is a mental health issue. Whenever you go under the knife and you start removing body parts, to make you feel more like the thing that you think you are inside, like that to me is a mental health issue. And I've heard several different valid arguments to this where, if somebody felt like they were supposed to be um a handicapped person, and they wanted you to remove their leg, would doctors do that? Probably not. I mean,
Sure.
most doctors would say, no, you're crazy. Well, but I feel like I should only have one leg, and so, and if we're going to use this type of justification to say, yeah, Elliot Page is a man, then why wouldn't we just apply that across the board for any type of elective surgery, right? I mean, if you feel like you should be blind, and I actually watched a documentary or some kind of show on this where there was a guy who thought that he should have been born blind, and actually had some kind of procedure done to remove his sight. To me, like, I don't know how you can look at that any other way other than mental health. Like, that to me just seems like a mental health issue. This whole video right here of Elliot Page talking about what it means to be masculine is the most feminine thing I think I've
Sure.
not a masculine bone in this person's body. When you're sitting there and they're talking with their hands. I know plenty of guys that talk with their hands. I tend to talk with my hands, but it's the movements, the format in which this interview is even being conducted, where the interviewer, sitting across from her is like, yeah, like that's never. I promise you, the person who's conducting this interview, if she was actually interviewing a very masculine man, even her response to those questions or the answers that she's getting from the person sitting across from her, I promise you, her reaction to that wouldn't be, yeah. It's because she feels comfortable in this space that she's in. There's something, with women where, their brains know, hey, I'm actually sitting, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, whether they want to say the quiet part out loud, there's the acknowledgement subconsciously or unconsciously that the person sitting across from me is actually a woman. And
or is presenting feminine,
or presenting feminine. And yeah, exactly. I feel very comfortable responding this way and acting this way. That's not the kind of response, I guarantee you. And I don't know who that interviewer was. I'd be curious to go back in and take a look at some other interviews this person's done with maybe some more masculine guests to see what her reaction would be to those guests. It's just, again, for me, it's such an insult to the other gender when you have people who espouse that they're this thing or they're this sex or gender when they're not. They're just not. Biologically, Elliot Page is never going to be a man. It doesn't matter what type of surgeries she's had. It doesn't matter how many hormones she takes. She's never going to biologically be a man. And it's never going to, taking testosterone doesn't make you act more masculine. I mean,
well, no, and that's just it, is testosterone or having surgery or really like trying to act a different way or act a certain way. I hate to say you're either masculine or you're not, or you're either feminine or you're not. But you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. There just are naturally some women who are more masculine, some men who are more feminine. And again, like I think the overarching situation that is happening here with a lot of these cases of gender dysphoria, or some of that side with the trans community, is the bottom line. just generally tends to be is that they are not happy with who they are, and that's that's sad. I don't wish that on anybody, but
Right.
being happy with who you are, I think a lot of people have maybe seen this going back even long before trans issues were sort of more prevalent in our culture. Let's go back to the 80s and 90s, right? And all of the big name celebrities were having all of their plastic surgery done, or oh, we're getting a facelift, we're getting a nip tuck, this, that, and the other. And it's all external. It's all
Right.
something that we're seeing on the outside. But the thing that you're struggling with, the thing that you that is hard for you is something that's on the inside. And
Right.
we don't ever really talk about that a lot. You hear a lot of times, oh well, we should affirm people's identity, or something like this. And the thing that is so interesting to me is that we're kind of told, like, to do it here in this instance, but then, like, don't do it over here in this instance. Like, if somebody is bulimic or anorexic, right, and they're just like, oh, I'm so fat, you wouldn't turn around and be like, oh, look at you, yeah, oh yeah, you're so fat, right?
Right.
You probably wouldn't do that. So I don't know that affirming anybody's gender or identity I don't know that you're doing them any favors. I mean, I don't think that you need to be mean to anybody. I don't think you need to be rude to anybody, or, I
I
mean,
agree.
and you see this all over the internet. People have the worst things to say about people, and, oh, it doesn't matter, or you're gay, or you're trans, or, whatever. And there's no need to be, sort of a vicious person to somebody who's, maybe different than you are. It's like, you know what, you want to change your body, you want to go and have these surgeries and everything. If you're an adult, hey, knock yourself out. More power to you. I'll even call you whatever name you want to be called.
Sure.
Right. But if there's ever an emergency and the paramedics show up and they ask me, is this a man or a woman? I'm going to say that is, what they were born as, right? Because it might mean life or death, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, you can't go to a doctor either, and a transgender man cannot go into a doctor and be treated for testicular cancer.
Can't go get a pap smear.
Can't get a pap smear because you don't have
Sure
the required tools to get that type of a procedure. And on the opposite end, you're never going to be a transgender woman and get a period, despite what some of these crazy videos I've seen posted. And you're never going to go, like, if you're a transgender woman, you're not going to have much luck going to a gynecologist, and so I think my biggest issue with this, and I'm in the same camp that you are. Be respectful. I think
Sure.
all people deserve, respect, as long as they're giving you that same level of respect. But if somebody wants to be called by a certain name, I have no problem calling Elliot Page. If you
Right.
wanted to change your name and you want it to be a guy's name, I'm fine with calling you Elliot Page. But what I will not do is pretend you're something that you're not, and you'll never be. I don't have it in me to do that. I'll always treat you with respect. Although I would argue that I think the problem with that in the LGBTQ community now is that it's not far enough. Like, you've got to bend the knee to a lot of this stuff. It's not enough to just say, hey, look, I'll respect you, I'll call you the name you want, but I'll never believe that you're a man, you're a biological woman. And that's not enough for them. And I think that's where a lot of these issues stem from, because it requires complete and utter obedience, and
Sure,
it's like a religion, right?
It's like in order to be seen as respecting somebody, you have to go along with whatever it is that they're doing, right? So it doesn't matter if, I'm, genderqueer today and, asexual tomorrow, or, and those things may not even be in the same category. I don't know, because there's 100,000 different categories now.
Yeah.
And you can, jump in between any which one you want, uh, depending upon how you feel that day. I can't know how you feel, right? I can't read your mind. I don't like I said, is I don't want to necessarily just be disrespectful to somebody.
No.
But I don't know if today, you're gender nonconforming, right? Unless, maybe we can get some t-shirts printed up, or, maybe there's like a mood ring or something like this. And there's just so much that um it's it's confusing for a stupid brain like mine. um but you're right in the sense of um it's not enough to be kind to someone, it's not enough to be respectful of someone. No, you have to play along with this, right? Did you ever see this movie? What is it? It's like Lars and the Real Girls or something like that.
I don't think so.
I want to say it's oh, my wife knows right off the top of her head. I'll think about it for a second. The character in the movie has his girlfriend. The thing is that his girlfriend is like, it's basically like it's not a blow up doll, but it's like a mannequin, right?
Okay.
And in his mind, she is, she's real life. He's envisioning her, doing these things, this, that, and the other. And his family, I guess, basically just goes along for the ride with him. Just treats it like, oh, this is a real thing. And any person who would be viewing this from the outside with a sort of objective view on reality is going to go, Ryan Gosling, that's who it is. Is going to scratch their head, just go, what am I looking at here?
Right.
And again, like, it wouldn't be my first thought to go run up to that guy and punch him in the face. It's like, oh,
no,
he's struggling with something. I'm not gonna, what do I know about what he's going through? I'm not gonna try to, harass somebody who's, got a struggle that I don't have, but
yeah, I mean, it's the problem we've run into now is we have women who are telling men how to be men, and men telling women how to be women. And it's crazy to me that somebody like Elliot Page is sitting there trying to define what it means to be masculine and what it means to be a man, and
sure,
what the ideal image of masculinity should be. And like there's so many different types of masculinity. There's not one way to just be masculine, right?
Ask 37 different people and you'll get 37 different answers.
37 different men, right? You're going to get 37 different answers, right? And the same goes for women. I think femininity means something different to every woman. But
sure,
when you're a woman who's saying that you're a guy and this is what it means to be masculine, for men, like I just, when I see things like this, it makes me cringe. It makes me a little angry and upset, because you've never been a man, you'll never be a man, and you don't know what it's like to walk a day in a man's shoes and to have that type of responsibility. Now, somebody like an Elliot Page is in a very privileged, unique situation where this person's going to be surrounded by people that are just going to reaffirm her identity and reaffirm, the delusion that, this person's a man. And so she's going to feel very comfortable in these environments where, talk about what it means to be masculine. And she's going to have a bunch of people around her clapping seals going, yep, this person knows what it means to be a man. You don't. A lot of the things that Elliot Page was talking about when it comes to like emotions and not, men are never show their emotions. And you mentioned this earlier. It's not that men don't display their emotions. It's how men choose to express their emotions. We don't express our emotions the way women do. And we don't express our emotions the way women want or expect us to express those emotions. Because if we did, then you would have just another girlfriend.
Well, I think there's a lot of debate about that as well. Like, I know plenty of ladies who, when a guy gets, there's all sorts of advice all over on the internet, and women bemoaning that a man didn't open up to her and share his deepest, darkest fears and secrets and all these kinds of things. I know plenty of women who that is an immediate ick. Like,
right.
oh no, you just zip.
Well, and like, look, I don't want to put too many personal things out there, but like when my fiance is having a rough time, like she gets emotional, she may tear up, and she'll confide in me on certain things. If I did that every single time I felt upset about something, and I had the same reaction that she did to a problem or something going on in, my personal life or whatever, and I got emotional and I started crying, at some point, what she's looking for in a partner, she's not going to find, right? Because
Right,
what
she's looking for the opposite of the emotion that
100%.
she's having.
She's looking for somebody that can be a solid foundation for her to have those type of emotions in front of, and to be a rock and to be supportive and just not, again, it's just, you don't want to be the guy that comes home and cries every time something goes wrong at work, right? That becomes, for men, women perceive that as emotionally unstable. I mean, am I wrong about that?
Right. Well, hey, there's always this conversation that goes around about, men are emotionally unintelligent, and I go, oh, oh, really? Okay.
Mm.
Uh, you know,
Give me an example of that.
just because, well, it's exactly what I was talking about earlier, which is the idea that you're going to just like spout out all of your emotions, because you had a rough day at work, or, so there's something that's bothering you, something that's on your mind. That's not to say that as a man, you shouldn't be communicating with your partner, right?
No,
Like,
absolutely.
when the one who's, I'm going to say this person is emotionally unintelligent is the one that has no emotions and they don't communicate, and, and they are not in control of their emotions. I think that's actually a big part of that, is because, generally speaking, as men, we're raised, or we grow up and we learn that, you it's a crude metaphor, but it's like you do what you got to do, right? It doesn't matter if you skinned your knee, you still have to XYZ. You still
Right.
have to, rub dirt on it, keep going. And so it's not as if that there's not an emotion that is there. It's just that, listen, I'm going to put that to the side for the moment because I have to do the thing that is the thing right in front of me right now.
Right.
And, you know, maybe later on, I'll think about it. I'll mull it over. You know, it's not terribly seldom. This is another sort of difference of men and women. Is it's not terribly seldom that I am going to need to, bounce my emotion off of somebody, right? I am not really ever going to be looking for a validation of the way that I'm feeling, right? I'm just going to feel it. I'm just going to feel what I'm feeling. And, that's fine. I can internally process that.
Right.
And, because I have too much crap to do. All right. Like I have too many other things that are going on. I have to fix a dishwasher. I have to fix the air conditioner. I have to train the new puppy. I have to, work 50 hours a week. I got to run the side business. I don't have a lot of time to really bask in all of the feelings that I feel.
Right. Well, and I would argue that in giving the example that you did, like this is a different form of emotional intelligence. And I would say that a lot of men are actually more emotionally intelligent than a lot of women give those men credit for. It comes back to thinking about what you're feeling before you allow the emotion to take control of that situation.
Sure.
And just becoming subservient to that emotion, and
right.
letting
lashing out because of an emotion that you
right.
had is not so smart.
Right. Well, on the flip side to this, I thought we could show a funny video about this, because there's been quite a few of these Elliot Page videos that have been going around ever since were announced that they were going to be playing Achilles in the new movie.
And now she's playing everybody. She's playing Batman. She's playing just literally everyone.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator. So let's check this out.
Yeah, do it. What are you waiting for? Do it now. Oh, don't get us copyrighted, buddy.
Yeah, I cannot get enough of those.
Yeah, no, they're all over the place. They're all over the place. Listen, if Elliot Page would have been in that role, everybody would have survived.
Everybody would have survived.
Everybody.
It would have been a very different movie.
She would have got the Predator. She would have got the Predator canceled. That's what would have happened.
All right. Well, hey, before we move on to our next segment, if this is your first time joining us on Smoke Signals and Side Quest, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are going to be putting up episodes every single Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are no longer posting any more of our videos to the Cigar Titans YouTube channel. So if you want to check out Smoke Signals and Side Quest and hang out with me, Cigar Titan, and Red Beer Riot and Sergeant Grumpy Pants, make sure to come over. Yes, who is missing in action. Don't forget to come over to the Smoke Signals and Side Quest YouTube channel, like and subscribe there. All right.
Are we also putting stuff up on some other platforms, some Spotify?
Yes. So we are putting our episodes up on Spotify. Appreciate the call out. So we've got episodes going up on Spotify and Amazon Music. So if you just want the audio version, then you can check us out over on Spotify and Amazon Music. We upload our episodes there every week on Sundays, so you'll catch it the following day, but it'll be ready to go for you then.
But why you wouldn't want to look at this?
All of this.
I
don't know. It's a mystery.
Logic. Yeah. What do you got?
All right. Well, let's move on to our next segment, which we like to call Allegedly Dumb. Now, I thought that this would be a good segment to segue into after our last conversation about masculinity and, trans men talking about what it means to be a man and trans women talking about what it means to be a woman.
I think we have that right.
I think we have it right. Yes. Yeah. Are you familiar with the term looks maxing?
Oh, unfortunately. Yeah, no, I do. I'm deep in this culture, my friend. I do this all the time with the hammers and
yes,
the makeup and the surgery, and can't you tell?
Absolutely. I mean, you have reached the pinnacle of peak looks maxing.
I can't max any harder.
You cannot max any harder. No, you are maxed out as
maxed to the max.
That's right, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're spot on. This is I don't know. I hope to God that this looks maxing thing is just another stupid trend. But the person that's been kind of leading the charge here
it needs to go away.
It needs to go away, at least in this form, right?
Yeah.
The person who's been leading the charge here is this young guy named Clavicular. I don't know his real name. I don't have his real name up. But he's basically the person who's, I don't want to say founded, because I don't know if he did, but kind of gained.
He's sort of the most high profile person.
Exactly. And he's gained a lot of traction and a lot of popularity in a very short period of time, just talking about this looks maxing thing. And so, it's one thing to be a man and to want to take care of yourself or to do things to maybe lead a longer life or a healthier life. You talked a little bit about that earlier, Redbeard, where you were talking about changing up some dieting habits.
Yeah.
And as we get older, again, these are things that all of us should be doing. Blow daddy a smoke ring. All right, let's see if I can get that.
Oh, do it. Oh.
Maybe one. I got the fan blowing on me here, so it's a little hard.
You can't do the Gandalf smoke rings with like the ship that
the
flies
ship going through it, right?
Can't do it. Oh.
At the Kilted Craftsman, have fun heading out to dinner. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Good enough, yes. But I mean, so I think it's a natural thing for men, at least for some men, to want to take care of themselves. I've been accused, and this is a much older term, but I mean, much older guy, where the term back when I was in my 20s was metrosexual, right? Everybody would say, oh, you're metrosexual. You focus on the way you dress. You've got gel in your hair.
Sure is shiny.
Yeah. I think South Park did a whole episode on metrosexual men, which was quite funny.
The crab people. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so looks maxing is something that is now being taken to the extreme. It's basically looking your best, and I'm air quoting here, at all costs, essentially. Whatever it takes, right? I hear this term thrown around more and more these days from young kids. Whatever it takes. There was a popular bodybuilder.
Except for when they're trying to get a job.
Yeah, exactly. Right. There was a popular bodybuilder. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, Redbeard. He was very popular on the social media platforms several years ago. His name was Rich Piana. And Rich Piana was a truly massive bodybuilder. He's just a jacked guy. He did some competitions when he was younger, but then he did his own form of, I guess, looks maxing, where he was on some pretty wild steroid cycles back in the day, and unfortunately, I think at 47 years old, he ended up passing away in, I want to say it was 2000s, sometime between 2017 and 2020. I think I could have those dates wrong. But he was somebody that was often heard saying, whatever it takes, whatever it takes, whatever it takes, right? And so I'm seeing a lot of the young men today using that term, whatever it takes. And I think it's problematic. What are your thoughts, Redbeard, around the term whatever it takes and what you're seeing in terms of self-care and looks maxing and maybe even a little bit of bodybuilding and fitness these days?
Well, so, okay, bodybuilding's been around forever,
Yes.
and that you could maybe put that into the category, I suppose, of looks maxing, right? I generally have not seen, and I'm not the expert, but I generally have not seen with this sort of looks maxing phase, people doing like a ton of like bodybuilding. In other words, I this young man here,
The man in the center is
that's
Cliff
right,
Giller.
that's right.
That's who we're looking at.
He, so far as what I've seen, which is minimal, so correct me if I'm wrong. His whole thing is like with his face, right? As far as I can tell, sculpting his face, these kinds of things. But certainly he's not, you couldn't accuse this kid of being a bodybuilder, right? He's not looks maxing his muscles.
Well, he is to some point. I'll share a little bit about that later, but go on.
Well, no, but I mean, he's not getting ready for any competitions, right?
No, you're correct. Yeah.
And like I said, is bodybuilding being a sort of a form of looks maxing generally would tend to focus more upon, the symmetry, the size, the like the water content, right? Like how cut are you?
Right.
And that's sort of all about that. And so there's a whole set of things that go along with that, whether it be steroids or, whatever. I mean, the fitness supplement industry is, probably all garbage, but they usually try and throw that in there as well. But so, but they're going, generally speaking, going to, participate in a competition.
Correct.
Right? Like there's a reason that you would go and do that. And that is, I suppose you might say, oh, well, there's some notoriety involved. There's some fame to be had here. Look at me talking with my hands all like feminine and stuff. Arnold Schwarzenegger, probably the most famous, right? Originally as a bodybuilder, parlays that into arguably a much bigger Hollywood career, right? The point being, the people who are into bodybuilding are generally doing that. There's a purpose behind that. So far as I can tell, clavicular here is, I'm not really certain what is the purpose other than to be Insta famous, I guess.
Correct.
I think the problem there is any young kid that's going to be looking at him, and it's all 100% just shallow, right? The looks of a person are like not even 1% of who that person is, right? But we're going to focus all of our energy on there. And the kids are going to see that, and they're going to think, "Oh, look at this guy. He's famous. He's on my feed. I'm going to hit myself in the face with a hammer too." What's he doing? I mean, I've seen before pictures of him. Perfectly good-looking man, right?
Yeah. And I think he's
probably above average looking guy, right?
Yeah, I think he's 20 years old, so he's still very young. He may be 21, not sure. But the last I heard, I think he was 20 years old. And you're right. So it's a lot of you hit the nail on the head. No pun intended here.
The hammer. It's a hammer.
Hammer on the head, right? No pun intended. But when I was thinking through, like, why would somebody do this other than wanting to be like insta famous, right?
It's
because clout and things like that. Like, again, this is clavicular, all things considered. Looking at the guy, he's a very handsome guy, and he's got what I would chalk up to probably like a very clean cut, boyish, good look to him. It's not a rugged look or anything. And you can see here on the screen, he's surrounded by some pretty attractive women. And I think when you get to a certain point, like maybe you start off, right? Like when we were growing up, like I started hitting the gym. I started paying attention to the clothes I was wearing, and things like that, because I wanted to attract more women. Like it's like, okay, well, if women are attracted to guys who are in shape. Women are attracted to guys who can dress. Women are attracted to guys who know how to talk to them, who are confident, all of these things. And so I did those things, growing up to make myself appeal to the opposite sex more often.
A reasonable thing that people do.
Right. I think he's already attained all of that. Like, he's surrounded by the women. And so at this point, I have to assume that this is got to be like, I'm not sure if it's about the cash or if it's a self-esteem.
Well, isn't that always a motivation, right?
100%.
Money, power, women.
Money, power, women. But I also think there's, when you see other videos of clavicular, there's definitely, you can see that there's a self-esteem issue there.
Sure.
And my concern with this new trend is just how many men who don't know any better, get absorbed into this type of community, right, with this type of content where we're, telling young men, hey, look, you want to be more attractive, you got to hit yourself in the face with a hammer to give yourself micro fractures in the face to help reform your jaw and, restructure your face and everything else. It's like, it sounds stupid and silly. And you if you're somebody older who doesn't spend a lot of time online, and you're listening to this, you may think, man, that sounds crazy. There's no way these young men are hitting themselves in the face to make themselves look better. Well, they are. But it would be one thing if that was it, and that's as far as they were taking it. But somebody like Clavicular is also openly admitted to taking methamphetamines to help hollow out his jaw. Like it's just insane. He takes several different PEDs, and so going back to the bodybuilding thing, while you would look at him and go, that dude's not going to be winning any bodybuilding competitions anytime soon. I have seen images of him, like he's in good shape, and I say good shape. When I say good shape, I mean physically, appearance wise, he looks good. Inside, I assure you, his 20-year-old body and his heart are screaming out for help. And the concern that I have with this trend right now is just how many other young men are going to fall victim to the type of message that these clowns are out there promoting. Because when you're a young guy and maybe you lack confidence, maybe you're a little overweight, maybe you have trouble gaining muscle, maybe you're just not as attractive as you wish you were, and then you watch these videos of these guys who are like, do what I'm doing, and I'm surrounded by all these beautiful women, and I've got all this money, and I'm super famous. There's a lot of incentive there for for young men to go, well, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do the thing, because that's how you get this. Back when we were growing up, right? It was what? It was infomercials, or it was advertisements in bodybuilding magazines. You know, when we were growing up, it's like, hey, you want to be jacked and look like this? Take creatine.
Right.
You know, nobody was pushing back in the day, take PEDs or anything like that. At least not openly. And now this stuff is literally everywhere. There was a video a few weeks ago of Clavicular in a, I don't know if he was just leaving a club or what, but he ended up overdosing on some drugs, and his bodyguards had to end up rushing him to the hospital. And my concern for this young man is that, you know, he's surrounded by people who are just encouraging this type of behavior, and nobody's telling him to stop. Nobody's telling him, hey, you're taking this too far. You're doing too much. You know, when you're 20, you remember what it feels like to be 20. You felt invincible, right?
Sure. Yep.
You know, you felt like you could conquer the world. You didn't have the back pain or the knee pain or anything that comes with getting older, you know, and you have this false superiority complex that nothing can hurt you. You know, you're impenetrable, and, you know, you can run through walls when you're in your early 20s. And it scares me to think that the next generation of men coming up, you know, a year or two ago, it was the red pill thing, right? The red pill movement.
Sure.
And men hating on women. Now it's this looks maxing thing. I don't know. What are your thoughts on young men today who see this, who are thinking, I need to go out into the garage and grab my dad's hammer and take it to my face?
Well, I mean, that is obviously insane, but you know, how much can you do to dissuade somebody who feels inadequate from doing a thing that they have been told or shown is going to be the answer to their problems, right?
Right.
This is really what you're seeing here, I think, is probably just the next version of sort of the feminizing of society, the feminizing of men, right? What he is doing, the levels that he's going to, are these are feminine traits that he's doing. He may as well be putting on makeup and, you know, getting getting extensions in his hair, and, you know, going to that extreme. He recently had a nose job, and again, this is feminine behavior, right?
Right.
But it comes as a product of our super duper shallow society that we live in, right? Which sometimes can become obsessed or overly obsessed with looks, and he gets to be a minor celebrity, right? So he gets some fame, probably a little bit of money.
Yep.
But again, he's behaving feminine, right? The external view is supposed to be this, you know, this masculine character or whatever, but your jawline is not the thing that makes you a masculine character.
Absolutely not.
The bridge of your nose is not the thing that makes you a masculine individual.
Well,
all of that stuff is totally, I mean, it goes right back to what we were talking about earlier with Elliot Page. The way that you look, there are going to be some people who will be drawn to you by the way you look, right? The way you look will open certain doors, right?
Correct.
But
absolutely,
again, like, go on through those doors, and when it turns out that inside you're really just kind of insecure, you've kind of shot yourself in the foot, right? Like, oh, look, you're nice to look at. I mean, how many times you ever heard a guy talk about, you know, a girl who's nice to look at, but he isn't really interested in dating her?
Right.
Right.
I've known plenty of women like that.
Because you're attractive, that's fine. Step one complete. Good job. But what's underneath that is, you know what? I'm gonna put a little bit of distance between me and that, because nice to look at, that's fine, but you know, I don't like you as a person.
Right. Well, I have a video pulled up right now. So going back to what we were saying earlier about all the drugs and things that Clavicular has been putting in his body, it's been documented by himself that, you know, he's had a lot of trouble even now getting an erection. When you introduce a lot of different foreign substances and drugs into your system,
there's nothing maxing about that.
There's nothing maxing about that. When you're introducing uppers and downers into your system, and then you're taking different types of PEDs like tren and testosterone and, you know, all the other PEDs that go along with it, that can have a tendency to affect you downstairs. And so this is Clav at one.
Do we have to watch this? Ugh.
We have to watch it. Is that one of, I don't know if this is his house or he's at a friend's house or whatever, but it looks like he was live streaming, and he's injecting a serum into his genitals to help give him an erection. And so he's already given himself one of these, and it didn't work. That's a problem.
Time to
now
see the doctor.
He's going to be giving himself another one of these injections, and it's basically something that people in the adult film industry, men in the adult film industry, will utilize, which is basically a form of like Viagra that you inject directly into your genitals, and it immediately makes you hard, so you don't have to wait for like a pill or something to pass through your system and your liver, you know, for it to work. But yeah, we'll watch the video and see what he says.
I need a shot. Let's see.
Brew attack.
Dude, genuinely, I'm not getting hard. What is going on? All right.
Oh,
give me the gun.
Just, like, I give you the gun?
Yes, give me the gun.
You know
so I can turn
you know
it.
how to load it? It's the needle that's stuck. It's a saucer needle.
Bro. Oh, shit. Big ass needle? Yeah.
Push it down like this. So this the suspension goes inside, and then you just click that.
Click the button?
Yep. And you hold it. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't fuck it.
Oh.
I'm gonna start. Yo, guys.
I need a shot.
I mean, there's not a lot of words for this. You know, you talked a little bit earlier too about Clavicular and his nose job. So I'll pull that video up here as well, and we can take a look at that.
Oh, now that his nose is slimmer, I just can't help but I want him so bad now.
Yeah. Well, I think in this video, there's been a lot of talk. I'll wait till it's done.
We've got a couple of chats down there as well if you want to have a look.
You're retarded.
Oh, he doesn't like that.
You're retarded. You and everyone in the chat. You're retarded.
I think it's a front, right? And so for him, you know, he's going after people in the chat, and But somebody like this, somebody with his type of mental state, I guarantee you, like whatever is being said to him in the chat, oh, your nose is too small, they messed up your nose now. I promise you, for somebody that has confidence issues like Clavicular does, this sits with him. And this is genuinely going to bother him. Like he's attempting to blow it off and pretend like he's not fazed by it. But this is the kind of guy that goes home every night, pulls up his own live stream and reads every single negative comment about himself, and then goes back in and tries to do something to fix it so nobody can say anything bad about him in the next video.
The hammer didn't work. We're going to use a jackhammer next time.
Right. You know, again, you're the guy wasn't a bad looking guy to begin with. And I worry because somebody like Clavicular is on the road to following in the footsteps of other young guys that have come before him that unfortunately didn't make it out alive. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this individual. His name is Boston Lloyd. So Boston Lloyd was a super viral, popular social media bodybuilder back in the 2010s era, and got his rise to fame because he did a 1-year transformation video. And in the first video, he's very chubby, he's out of shape, he's got no muscle definition whatsoever. And then the next video a year later, he's completely jacked and shredded. And this was somebody that very much in the same kind of vein as Clavicular was doing every single PED this guy could get his hands on, because he didn't think that it was going to impact him. He didn't think that doing all of these drugs was going to affect him.
You're young, you can take it.
You're young, you can take it. It's your body is fine. You're young, it'll bounce back.
Right.
I don't think this guy lived to be 30. I think he passed away just shy of his 30th birthday back in 2022 due to, I believe it was kidney failure as a result of all of the PEDs he was doing. His kidneys eventually gave out. He was on dialysis for the last, I don't know, it was a year, 2 years, whatever it was of his life, doing dialysis. Unfortunately, he left a wife and a daughter behind, but it was the same thing. It was clout chasing. He was going after the fame. He was going after the girls. He was going after the muscles. And again, whatever it takes at any cost was the term he would throw around all the time. Whatever it takes.
You know where I hear that all the time? In anime. I don't know if you're familiar, but that's like always in anime. Whatever it takes, I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
Yep.
All the kids watch that.
Yep. And then Scott the Robot says that guy will always feel inadequate because none of that stuff will make him feel good about who he is. And we thought Whiskey Dick was bad. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's sad. And it worries me for the young men today who are growing up, and attached to social media influencers, because back when we were growing up, it was movie stars. It was the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and the Van Dams, and
maybe Clavicular can take that hammer to his wiener.
Yeah,
firm that thing up a bit.
That's right. But to your point, on the opposite end of the spectrum there, it's a very feminine approach to what an ideal man should look like. I think the ideal man should be somebody of integrity, should be somebody who takes care of his family, should be somebody, who goes out and contributes to society in a positive way. Somebody that looks out for the people he cares about around him. For me, that's what masculinity is. That's what being a man is about. Not taking a hammer to your face and being surrounded by 50 dumb broads in the background, only there because they're chasing clout too.
100%. It's about what you do.
Yeah.
Is what makes you a man, what you do.
Yep. Well, I think we've beaten this with a hammer as long as we can. And it's time to move on to the next segment. But before we do, if this is your first time joining us here on the Smoke Signals and Side Quest YouTube channel, welcome. We're glad to have you with us. We are going to be putting up episodes every Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will also be putting up our episodes on Spotify and Amazon Music. So if you want just the audio version, you don't want to see these two beautiful faces here in front of you today, make sure you go over to Spotify or Amazon Music and catch just the audio version over there. That'll be posted the following day on Sunday. So a little bit of a delay, but you're still getting the good stuff. All right. How you feeling, Redbeard?
Oh, we're doing all right. We're doing all right.
All right. Well, we are going to transition into our next topic, which we lovingly call Retrohale Riffraff. I love these intros.
Oh my. Oh me, oh my. Yeah, so we are going to get into this. We typically do a little bit of a movie game here. And of course, we're man down today. We're going to do something just a little bit differently. We are going to talk about some movies, but it's Father's Day. And what we're going to do here briefly is we're going to talk about some movies. And we're going to talk about some movies with some strong father figures.
All right. Now, am I going to be familiar with these movies?
Some of them, I imagine you probably will be familiar with. Certainly, go ahead and shout it out if you immediately recognize the movie. We're gonna look at those. We're gonna talk about it a little bit, and we're gonna have a good time.
I like having a good time.
Let's do it. Where did the strong father figures go? My contention here is that movies, television as well, have changed things up a little bit, and we don't get a lot of these strong father figures anymore. So I'm going to present to you some of my favorites, and we can talk about it, and we can compare, see if there are any more modern contemporary versions. Here we go. We got men in the movies. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis here. We've got, he's a compassionate leader. He deeply values the lives of his troops and their families. He's portrayed as fighting for better equipment and personally training his men. He's shown to be highly intelligent with a deep understanding and confidence of military history and battle tactics. He's developing new strategies to anticipate his opponent's next moves. He relies on his strong religious faith and is shown openly praying for the wisdom to make impossible life and death decisions under extreme stress. Even when outnumbered and surrounded in the heat of battle, he remains composed, adapting tactics to prevail in the face of overwhelming odds. That may not immediately just give it away to you, but tell me, what do you think?
Like Patriot with Mel Gibson.
Does this sound like a man? Sound like a father type of man?
Absolutely sounds like a man. I would. Yeah. Oh, we were so well. I got the actor right. Okay.
This is We Were Soldiers. Yes, sir. One of my favorite quotes from this movie. I will be the first to set foot on the field, and I will be the last to step off, and I will leave no one behind.
Yeah, I remember seeing this movie years ago. This was definitely an awesome movie. Mel Gibson, by far one of my favorite male actors. He's had a lot of great movies.
Yeah. And the thing I love about this movie is, kind of just like what I was talking about is, these guys that he's taking into this life or death situation, he cares about them. He treats them like they are his sons. And it also portrays his family back home, his small children and shows how he loves his children. And I don't know. Do we see that in movies anymore? You tell me.
Not very frequently, no.
We've got an ex-CIA operative, Marine Corps Force Recon officer, haunted by his former covert life of violence. He views himself as beyond redemption, guilt-ridden, burnt out. He struggles with thoughts of self-harm. Reluctantly, he takes a job protecting the 9-year-old daughter of a wealthy businessman. He initially dismisses her persistent curiosity about his life and scars, but her affectionate nature gradually starts to crack through his stoic demeanor. The process of rediscovering his humanity is rudely interrupted when his new friend is violently abducted in front of him in a struggle that leaves him severely injured. Believing her dead, he methodically tracks down everyone involved in the kidnapping to exact his cold, brutal revenge, stopping at nothing to ensure those responsible pay for their crimes. In the course of his rampage, he learns that she is in fact not dead and can be set free for the right price. In order to restore the young girl's freedom, he will have to trade a life for a life, a trade that he willingly makes without hesitation.
This sounds like Denzel Washington in Man on Fire.
That, sir, is exactly the movie. He is not her father, but he probably acts more like a father than her actual father.
Yep, definitely plays a father figure in that movie.
Favorite quote here: "Forgiveness is between them and God. My job is to arrange the meeting." Yes, sir.
That's such a good one too.
Yes, sir.
That's one thing that I think is missing from a lot of movies these days are memorable quotes.
Sure.
The good one-liners.
Yep. Let's jump on to the next one here. We've got Frank is a hero veteran firefighter who unexpectedly dies on duty, resulting in his son dealing with the trauma of growing up without his father, until an unusual electrical storm appears miraculously, allowing him to communicate across time with his now grown NYPD detective son. Learning of his imminent death and subsequent life-altering choices, Frank, who is depicted as a loving father, is given the chance to choose a different path, and does so with his family's welfare foremost on his mind. Changing the past doesn't come without its ripple effects, however, and the two men get caught up investigating a string of serial murders in order to save Frank's wife, who becomes one of the victims in the new timeline. Accused of being involved, Frank's only option is to find the real killer with the help of his son.
I don't know this one right off the top of my head, but I'm sure I've heard of it.
You know what? I don't know that it was a highly acclaimed picture, but I think it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun, and you can't go wrong with a little bit of Dennis Quaid.
Frequency. Okay.
This is a movie
I
called
have not
Frequency.
seen this movie. This actually, I'm going to need to check this one out. That's a very interesting presence, and that's got Jim Caviezel.
And it spends the time and really depicts this man as, you know, he's a good man, he's a hero, he's competent, and you know, it's like, hey, you would like this guy to be your dad. He's got a good quote when he's teaching his son how to ride a bike. He says, "Why don't we tame this Bronco, huh? You and me, spirit and guts."
I like that. And for those of you who may not know, both Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel are both very open, conservative actors in Hollywood, and both faith-based men who love their country and love their God.
Right on. Let's check out what do we got. Former English teacher turned skilled U.S. Army Ranger captain who leads a squad on a mission to find and bring home a single Army private during the chaos of the Normandy invasion during World War II. He is characterized by his calm, resourceful, and humane leadership, all while bearing his own struggle with the psychological toll of combat. A reluctant but effective leader who commands the fierce loyalty of his men, wrestles with the moral burden of potentially sacrificing their lives to extract a single man from the conflict. Upon finding the private defending a river crossing with his platoon against significant German forces, it becomes clear that this dedicated soldier will not abandon his brothers in arms. The captain therefore decides to stay, taking command and developing a strategy to help reinforce the bridge against the coming assault, ultimately giving his own life in service to others.
Sounds like Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan.
That, sir, is correct.
Nice. That was a great movie. A very graphic opening to a movie, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely set the tone for that movie and for that time period, more specifically right at the start of the movie. So you knew exactly what you were getting into, and you kind of got a good sense of the horrors of what it meant to be on the beaches of Normandy in World War II.
His quote that I liked from this movie is, "I just want to go home and see my kids. I don't know anything anymore, except that the more killing I do, the further away from home I feel."
Yeah.
This is a man.
Quote.
This is a man, ladies and gentlemen. Highly decorated but deeply traumatized veteran of the French and Indian Wars, he now lives a quiet, peaceful life running his farm and raising his 7 children alone. Having sworn a vow to never see battle again, he vehemently resists getting involved in the brewing conflict against the occupying British Army, preferring instead to negotiate and make peace with the Crown. That is, until the war reaches his front steps, when British troops burn his farm, take his eldest son Gabriel as prisoner, and needlessly murder his second son Thomas, who tries to resist. Driven by grief, he takes up arms once more, leading a hastily assembled militia comprised of farmers and barroom brawlers. His tactical brilliance and unconventional hit-and-run methods prove to be more than his opponents are prepared to face, earning him a reputation amongst the British only as the Ghost. He nearly gives up the fight when Gabriel is also killed, but because of his son's dedication to the cause, he is inspired to carry on and ensure that his remaining children live free from oppression.
Well, Scott the Robot says, "I hate this movie." I'm not sure if they're talking about this one or the last one.
What do you got? You want to take a look at this? That is, again, that is Patriot. Our Mr. Mel Gibson here, the Patriot. I think there's a theme with good old Mel here. Again, this movie is 26 years old. I can't think of some current contemporary movies that are putting these types of masculine characters in front of audiences. He says, "I have long feared that my sins would return to visit me, and the cost is more than I can bear."
Yeah, I think part of the reason why you're not seeing a lot of men like this in movies today is because a lot of them have just aged out. A lot of those masculine role models are now far too old to play in these roles, and there just isn't enough of a well to draw from when it comes to masculine.
I don't think they're writing. I don't think they're writing the characters either.
100%
is really where I'm going.
If I were to say, give me 3 hyper masculine actors today, who would you say?
Oh goodness. Well, I mean, you've got some decent work with Henry Cavill.
Okay. Agreed.
You got Jason Statham is getting a little bit older, but I think he can still pull that off a little bit. There's probably a few others. I was unprepared for this question, but let's see.
That was the point.
You bastard. There's a few guys, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think right. The actors themselves. Oh, who's the guy who got in a fight in the in the middle of the street over in his neighborhood with the motorcycle? He plays Reacher.
Reacher. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember the actor's name though.
Keanu does a decent job, and you could maybe slot in a little bit some of his latest work. I don't know that it necessarily falls into like father figure type of territory, but let's keep this thing going.
All right.
Having faced the tragedy of losing his wife and all but one of his children, he's grown into a dedicated father, fiercely protective over his one remaining developmentally disabled son. He does his best, however, to overcome these setbacks and displays a deep and profound love, teaching his son how to stay safe and navigate a dangerous world. Being young and impetuous, his son has his own ideas and doesn't always heed his father's advice, often viewing him as overbearing and suffocating. That is until the boy is abducted by strangers and taken far away from home. In order to get his son back, he'll have to face his deepest fears and relentlessly pursue the kidnappers across the planet, in the process becoming a stronger man dealing with his past trauma.
I know it's not this movie, and I'm not even sure if you have this movie in the lineup, but the one with Liam Neeson.
Are you thinking of you're thinking of Taken?
Yeah, it sounds a lot like Taken, but I know the first movie centered around his daughter.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't include Taken mostly because go back and watch that movie. Yes, he goes nuts and he goes off to find and rescue his daughter, but he doesn't even really know his daughter. I'm like, oh, maybe you weren't such a great father. Like now when we need a little bit of help, you know,
he's killing a bunch of men to make up for it. I don't know what else you want. See,
what else would you want? This movie here, this is a little bit of a red herring. I tricked you a little bit. Let's take a look. Oh,
yeah.
We have Finding Nemo.
All right, fair enough.
Nemo's dad, he's got this great quote. He said, "What is it with men and asking for directions? I don't want to play the gender card right now. You want to play a card? Let's play the let's not die card." That is actually going to complete the movie section of this. I've got a speed round here that we're going to do, which is television, focusing, generally speaking, on some older stuff that is going back to the sitcom era, where dads were present, they were involved, and they were just generally good dudes. Again, stuff that maybe you don't see so much anymore. We've got television dads, speed round. Here we go. Growing Pains with Alan Thicke.
Yep, I remember.
Watch this
show.
at all? Yeah, this was
very young Kirk Cameron and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Family entertainment.
Yep.
We've got Family Matters. Reginald Vell Johnson playing Carl Winslow.
Great show.
Yep. Good, strong family.
TGI Fridays.
That's right. We got Full House. Bob Saget. Yep. And it's just like the definition of, you know, the dad that's there, you know.
R.I.P. Bob Saget.
That's right. My Two Dads. I'm a little bit less familiar with this one. My wife was telling me.
Did not watch this one.
This is a show about these two guys who, I guess they knew the same woman, and that woman gave birth to this child. Neither one of them knew who the real father was. I guess this is pre-DNA testing, right? They decide to go ahead and team up, join forces, so that they can raise this little girl. Now, if this was today, we would have people retrojecting back and saying, "Well, those guys were obviously gay."
The show would just be called My Dad.
My Dad. Oh, here we go. Who's the boss?
Tony Danza.
This is taking it way back, 1984. But this one ran for a little while as well.
Yeah,
I like this show, and Alyssa Milano was definitely a young man's crush, if you know what I mean.
Until she went absolutely batshit crazy and became some
totally bonkers. Totally bonkers.
Yeah. Family Ties.
Family Ties is classic. Everybody loves some Family Ties. Yes, sir. This one had a decent run as well. What else are we looking at here? The Wonder Years. I really liked this show.
So did
and I think when I was younger, I always felt like the dad character was kind of a mean, gruff, you know, no nonsense. I was why isn't this guy nicer? Of course, as an older individual, I'm like, yeah, that was the dad. That's right, that was the dad. And he was
relatively quiet throughout a lot of the episodes. Right. Like his demeanor, his character, you know, he wasn't the overbearing father either.
Right, but you knew that he was there. You knew that he loved his family. Yep. Oh, and let's not forget about Winnie Cooper. All right. I mean, you know,
that's right.
No, never mind. Not going to go there. All right. What do we
Red
got?
Savage.
Roseanne, a little John Goodman, right? Same kind of deal. Good father, always there for his kids. We really need to see more in our popular entertainment today.
Yeah, I loved Roseanne.
Oh, here we go, Hank Hill. Obviously, not a live action show, but I wanted to throw that in there because, hey, who wouldn't want Hank Hill for their dad?
Yep. Unlimited propane.
That's right. That's right. The very last one on this list is it's a little bit. We're gonna call a little bit of an honorable mention.
Okay.
We're gonna say half credit because this guy, he's not really what you're gonna say is the epitome of a good guy, but you know what? He was present. He was there. He didn't abandon his kids, and so that counts for a little bit. But we are gonna let Hank tell us a little bit about this guy. Let's listen.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby! Baby want a bottle? A big dirt bottle?
Yep.
Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill playing the incomparable Al Bundy. He put up with Peggy.
This was by far probably my favorite sitcom growing up. I could probably recite several of these episodes, and you say like the character Al Bundy he was always present for his family,
right?
But and it's we joke, but the dichotomy that the family had, the way that they would crack jokes with each other. One, you would almost certainly never see a sitcom like this air today, at least not on normal television.
Sure.
But there was just something, I don't know. I mean, it was hilarious. It was raunchy. There were several episodes where, Al was faced with a decision where he could step out on his family,
right,
either with another woman, or he could step out on his family and just disappear and go away. And he never did. And that was something that I, even as a young kid watching this, which I probably shouldn't have been, that was something that always stuck with me. I just loved his commitment to the family and his wife, despite everything else in his life being what it was. Now, all things considered, he was a shoe salesman who lived in a pretty nice. Like, I grew up poor. I knew what it was like to grow up.
That was a decent house for a shoe salesman. Are you kidding?
Decent house for a shoe
salesman. He had two
salesman.
stories.
I'm like, you are not poor. Not when you've got all of this.
No, sir. We're not going to call him a good father. We're maybe not going to call him a good man, but he was a father.
He was.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, hey, look, before we wrap up the episode today, I thought we would take a moment and maybe just talk about our fathers and what it means to have good, positive role models in our lives, and what that means. And then we'll share a little something that Sergeant Grumpy Pants sent over to us at the end here to take us out. But I'll kick it over to you, Redbeard.
Yeah, for sure. Gosh, where to begin? I think probably the highest praise that I could give to my father would be to say that I aspire to be like him. Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you really say? This is a good man. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, and I'm from a big family, right? My dad raised a lot of kids, and there were many times over the years growing up when there was other kids that lived with us who were not his children. You know, one of my brother's friends from down the block, or somebody who was having some difficulties in their home, and
maybe even somebody on this podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about. Quite often there was an open home, a safe place, and I think most of all, I think my dad probably taught me, the importance of, responsibility and accountability. I think we all probably had dads that got on us a little bit more, than we maybe would have wished for. We'd much rather go out and play, but dad was there to make sure that you had completed the thing that your mom asked you to do, or and he taught me to be an honest man, and to take care of a family, and care about other people.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I've known Redbeard Riot for many a decade, and we grew up, and I can attest that everything you are speaking about your father is 100% true. I cannot imagine having to have raised as many children as he did, and to have that, I don't want to say, I'm sure there were times where it was stressful, and have that I don't know that burden's the right word, but that type of responsibility.
Sure.
And to handle it with the grace that he did, and to raise such a good family. But your father is truly an incredible person.
Did we miss anything?
I don't know. Did we?
Well, you could talk about your dad a little bit.
Yeah.
I also happen to know.
Yeah. My dad's no longer with us. He passed away back in 2015. But my dad, I mentioned a little earlier that growing up, we did not have a lot of money, and we bounced around a lot.
Sure.
And my dad was always there. He was present. He was always present. Yeah. He did not necessarily have the educational or financial means to teach me a lot, because he I think he dropped out of school in the 8th grade, and he came from a fairly large family himself. He was I think the second oldest of 8. He had an older sister. Unfortunately, passed away, I think, at 35 years old from a heart condition.
Yeah.
And then he had 2 sisters who had some mental disabilities. And so there was a lot going on in that family, and then he had me and my sister. And, I've probably told this story 1,000 times, but I attribute a lot of my work ethic and what I do, and my refusal to quit on things to my father, because
whatever it takes.
Right, whatever it takes, but a healthy level of whatever it takes. When we're growing up and we're without money, and we're without food, and
Sure.
we were at one point we were without a car, and so my dad would get up at 3:00 every single morning. It did not matter if it was raining or if it was freezing cold outside. He would get on his bicycle and he would ride probably close to 15 miles in one direction, to go to work in a physically laborious job where he was packing boxes and working an assembly line. And he would do that sometimes 6 days a week for very little money. And then at the end of that shift, 12-hour shift, he would ride his bike back to, wherever it was we were staying at the time. And so when I think to myself, especially when I was in my 20s, and I would think to myself, like, man, like, I really don't want to go into work today, but I've got a car and I've got a roof over my head.
Man, how easy is this?
Yeah, dude, it's easy for me to say I don't want to, because now I have the means to do that. Whereas my father never had the means to do that. And I'm in a situation where I find myself in a situation where I wouldn't give up, and I wouldn't call off. I was working 2 jobs at one point, and doing 7 days a week for sometimes over a month, just to make sure that I had my bills paid, because I could not find it in me to have the excuse to quit because of the example my father set for me.
Does being a father now potentially give you a little bit more insight into who your dad was?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There is definitely something that happens in you when you see your firstborn, where there's, and I thought about it when my daughter was born. I'm like, there's never been a woman that I just loved unconditionally. I think even with our spouses, there's conditions, right? If your spouse were to cheat on you or do something terrible, like, that might be a reason to separate and to walk away. But
She doesn't make my dinner.
but there's never going to be a situation that would make me walk away from my daughter. And I think about that with my father, despite all of the hardships and all of the financial struggles and everything we dealt with growing up. It would have been a lot easier for him to just say, I can't do it. Go stay with a friend, and live there. I've just got to take care of myself. But he never did that. He never did that. And he gave me things when he didn't have those things to give away. And so, yeah, I mean, it definitely does change your perspective a lot on what it means to be a parent. And even to some extent, even with my mom, it made me think a lot about those early years, growing up, and the sacrifices that my mom made growing up. And it just gives you a different perspective on
Sure.
life and children, for sure.
I find these perspective changes to be interesting, and to paint the picture for you, I'll go back and talk about my dad a little bit, which is, as a young kid, as a little boy, it was my dad who was my hero, right? He was, in my eyes, he was invincible. He was, he could do anything. There was starstruck. It's kind of kind of the best way to put that. And um, I think we all go through our teenager times where we don't really seem to know or care about anything other than what's happening, like, right here with us.
Right.
And I remember, maybe looking up to my dad a little bit less during those times. And it occurred to me, and I don't remember, we were having a conversation about something, and he said something to me that made me, it flipped a switch in my brain, and I went, oh, wait a minute, this is just a man. Like, he's just he's just another man. And then he became my hero again, because it was like, oh, you have some of these same struggles that everybody has. you're a regular guy, and yet you are this way or that way, and it's just that interesting perspective change that turn you into a place where you're like, oh yeah, no, I really do respect this guy.
Yeah, I think a good father certainly lays down a solid foundation for us to be better men and to be better fathers,
Sure.
As we grow older. And then there are some men that grow up without their fathers that turn out to be excellent fathers themselves.
Sure.
Because of the influence or the absence thereof of that father figure in their lives, and they refuse to allow their children to go through the same hardships they went through. And I think that's a lot of what fathers try to do for their sons in particular, is to lay the groundwork where they will go through the struggle so that you don't have to go through the same struggles.
Right.
And do the
In many ways, I struggle to understand, and maybe they just don't know, but I struggle to understand the men who run away from their children.
Yeah, I can't understand it. And I know men that have done that. And I don't get it. I can't imagine ever walking away from my daughter, or just not being a part of her life like that.
Right. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, that concept just escapes me. I couldn't do it.
It's wild. It's wild. I mean, everybody knows a single mom, right? And there's different situations all over the place, right?
Sure.
Sometimes it's dad who leaves, and sometimes it's mom who takes, right?
That's true.
There are different situations, and we're never going to say, oh, the mom is the better party or the dad is the better party. But in those situations where there's a man who, or a guy who has a kid and is not trying to be a part of that kid's life, just, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah. So for all the men out there who are not currently involved with their kids, get out there and get involved with your kids. Quit being a deadbeat dad.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Get out there.
That's where you apply. That's where you apply whatever it takes, is to go be a part of your kid's life, not beating your face with a hammer.
That's right. Well, we'll end on the beating of the face with the hammer note. Want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today on episode 1 of Smoke Signals and Side Quests. You can find us every Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over on YouTube at Smoke Signals and Side Quests. You can also find us on other streaming services such as Spotify and Amazon Music. Don't forget to check us out over there. We'll be posting this episode tomorrow on Spotify and Amazon Music, so you can bring us with you in the car or on your Amazon Alexa in the house while you're taking care of business. Maybe you're outside grilling for the holiday and you want something to listen to. You can check us out over there. Redbeard Riot, any final thoughts?
You know what? Nothing comes to mind right off the top of my head. I was just going to say, if you guys want to hear us talk about any particular topics, you can definitely leave those down in the comments. We're happy to opine on just about anything, whether we know anything about it or not. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, I'm going to leave us with a little tribute video or slideshow rather, that Sergeant Grumpy Pants left with us to honor his father. So we're going to go ahead and start that now. I hope everybody has a great week. And we'll see everybody next week.